Hi everybody, welcome to live stream today. I'm just busy setting up the actual program itself, just so that we've got everybody being noticed on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. So while I set that up, just bear with me for a second. I might look a little bit bizarre where I'm looking at different parts of the screen and not really interacting. Okay. Okay. Cool. So just myself at the moment. Posting it to everywhere. Get on the good old Raising Vibrations community. Anybody that's joined, you just type in the chat that you've let me know that you have arrived. So at least I've got somebody to talk to. Other than myself, today we are going to be discussing the Earth Trine. And it's actually inspired, to be honest, it's inspired by the Earth Trine that's actually on the new moon or the full moon at the moment. So that's exciting. And let's have a look. Wow. Okay. Cool. So we are live. Hi. And just busy setting up the messages. If you, like I said, if you are here and you can access the chat, that would be great. Let me know. So just released the new moon report or full moon report. I keep on saying new moon. I'm really sorry. But a full moon that's happening in Scorpio. Okay. Let's kill some of these distractions here. Okay, that's awesome. Let's have a look. Okay, so that's there. That's taken away. Okay, great stuff. So just 2 people so far at the moment. And like I said, just waiting for there to be a couple more, and then we can maybe discuss what I feel is important about this Earth Trine at the moment. Let's just have a do this over here. Okay. So Friday afternoon in my world, and super excited for the weekend, to be honest. Not really much though. I personally don't live in those types of like time frames, so sometimes it's a little difficult for me to experience the Friday afternoon happiness and joy from work, although I do actually work quite a lot on the weekends, as it were, where everybody's maybe relaxing. I put a lot of my work into my time during that period because, of course, everybody that might be working during those the weekdays are then having free time. So we've got 3 people on the stream at the moment, which is awesome. And like I said, I'm going to wait a little bit longer just Can everybody hear me, by the way? Are you guys able to hear me? I mean, that's probably a key factor here, that I'm sitting probably talking to everyone and you can't actually hear me. So hopefully that can be resolved straight away. Question mark. Let's see. 6 people have joined so far. Hi, everyone. Just letting you know, today's discussion is on the Earth Trine. I'm working a lot with the archetypes of Earth at the moment. Particularly last week it was Saturn. So Saturn's a really, really important energy archetype that you can work with in your life. It brings you an incredible amount of reward if you put a lot of energy into it. Maybe I'll use this brief period of time to just kind of recap a little bit about what I was actually talking about with Saturn. And Saturn, as an energy source, is our ability to become stable and emotionally integrated into this reality. And I think that it's really important for us to understand emotional integration when we are trying to manifest ourselves in this reality. Okay, a lot of energy, a lot of motivation, and such is a water element, and so emotion does get us moving. Mental experiences are great because they allow us to to experience different time frames and such. But if you aren't feeling motivated to do something and you literally don't have the energy, or you're not up for it in some way, then you will naturally find yourself in some way, shape, or form not actually getting anything done. So, and behind that is the emotional sort of space, how you're feeling in that moment. So a live stream, for instance, will be created if I'm feeling up for it. And most of the time I really am feeling positive about the experience, and it brings me a lot of excitement. So if we are to move in our worlds, if we are to shape energy, transmute it, if we are to experience ourselves in ways that is a little bit different to, say, for instance, the pre-new paradigm consciousness, where masculine energy was the way that we understood our spirituality. In other words, masculine energy, we go to higher consciousness, we understand the esoteric descriptions of how the world works and all those dimensions, but it does disassociate us from our earthly experiences. So just a kind of recap a little bit about where I was with regards to Saturn last week, and the need for integrating Saturn into your astrology chart in a very, very strong way. And I feel that the principle of Saturn, like I said, is to give us more groundedness, more emotional integration, so that we can feel connected and to be able to breathe, actually, which is part of today's discussion, especially around what the Earth Trine symbolizes and how that is linked with abundance. So there's 7 people at the moment that are watching at the stage. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks very much for joining me. I appreciate it. Just let me know if you are able to hear me through the chat box, and also is there any questions that I can answer for you, if you've got something that you'd like me to answer for you, while we kind of just wait a little bit while the stream's getting some attention. And yeah, so I'm going to take some water. Okay, I'm just going to quickly check the social media just to see what type of people are able to connect and know what's going on. Just checking raising vibrations of sight. Okay. Just check the chat box. Oh, okay, awesome. Fantastic. So sound and visual is awesome. We can hear you just fine. That's fantastic. Thanks, guys, for that feedback. I appreciate it. I didn't want to be sitting at sharing out information to you guys and nobody was actually able to hear me, which... So just a quick thing. If you've got questions for me that I can quickly maybe answer for you while we wait, you're absolutely able to use this time. Otherwise, I can just jump into the Earth Trine experience. I know this is recorded for everyone, but I was maybe hoping that I could get a lot more people invested into the experience before we jump into that. So yeah, so Jay or King, if you've got any questions that you want me to answer for you, then yeah, please feel free to use this time. Just go back. Okay, fantastic. Some other souls that are joining us as well. Okay. So, okay, so nobody's got any questions for me at this stage, then I can just go ahead and chat a little bit about Earth Trine stuff. What I wanted to focus on today in this discussion is that when, like in the full moon itself, we have the Earth Trine that is manifesting with Mercury and Jupiter and Pluto. And I discussed yesterday in a very brief full moon video that I had done that the Earth Trine itself is a way that we can develop groundedness and a sense of integration into our world, and in different types of realities that can be considered the 3D. Okay, so the 3D is this reality that we exist within that has a physical dimensions to it and also is limited in its manifestation. Okay, so the Earth Trine is our relationship to the physical density that we exist within, and the natural law of this Earth Trine is for us to develop a deeper relationship towards abundance. Okay, now of course everybody's like life or life circumstances themselves can be very challenging. Okay, and we have got quite a lot of poverty on the planet in different areas, and if you are somebody that has grown up in a situation where you do have to live in a way where your psychology gets you into this feeling of survivability, then this would be a great like discussion to really tap into and really feel into as well. So it's not that every single person will have the situation, but a large majority of the people on the planet at this point in time do have certain types of psychological patterns, mind control programming that is present that does prevent your ability or capacity to one, trust in something in the universe, in your path, etc., and two, be able to then from that trusting space nourish yourself with the abundance that is available to you. Okay, so okay, now we can Erica Moon, I can see your typing in the actual chat box itself, so it's okay. So the Earth Trinity starts, it doesn't have a specific like place that it starts, so it's not Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. So the Earth Trinity is three symbols and the constellations. They are the archetype of Capricorn, the archetype of Taurus, and the archetype of Virgo. Okay. And each of those symbols or those archetypes or principles themselves are incredibly vast in what you can feel into them when they are being understood in a very deep way. So what I'm trying to say here is that the information that I'm going to give you today, or to try to give you today, is can be limited by the time that I give it. But the capacity for us to understand this information can actually be a lot vaster than what I'm going to try to deliver today, because of the fact that they themselves, the archetypes themselves, these principles themselves, are so incredibly vast. I mean, I could speak 2 hours just on the Virgo archetype in that way. So just bear that in mind. So the Taurus archetype, and I will start here, okay? So if everybody can, while you're watching this, have kind of an image in your mind of a triangle, and the triangle itself is a representation of 3 symbols. So at the top of the triangle, put Capricorn. On the left-hand side, put Taurus, and on the right-hand side, put Virgo. And you can see how this triangle kind of like interfaces with each other, okay? So the point here, I'll start with Taurus, and Taurus is the relationship within ourselves, okay? This is the archetype within ourselves that is where we, in an inward way, are able to validate our sense of psychological need for security, okay, and survival. So this is our ability to validate our need for survival, okay? And in Maslow's hierarchy of self-actualization, or hierarchy of needs, he puts right at the bottom these basic psychological needs. For instance, food, shelter, and procreation. Right? These are kind of essential for our survival. And so Taurus, represents this aspect of our consciousness of how we have, firstly, growing up in our lives, been shown through our parents how we validate our need for survival. So validation of survival is something along the lines of, I enjoy things around me that make me feel comfortable, that gives me less stress, that allows me to feel like I'm capable of then moving into another realm of actualization. I can open up my boundaries. I can feel more comfortable. I can feel more safe in my ability to trust in things, and so on. So if, for instance, you grew up in situations and your parents weren't able to, or didn't have the capacity to reflect a very large ability to validate security, and in particular survivability and abundance, then your framework for what you would perceive validation of your security, of your comforts, of your capacity to believe in yourself and trust in things is going to be limited. And that, of course, is limited literally by what has been presented to you, what you've seen in the world. And it can actually be quite kind of like confusing, because if you grew up in a family structure that didn't know how to financially, or in this particular instance, just basic survival needs, if they weren't, or economically, if they weren't validating that stuff, if they struggled with finances, etc., and how to do that, then you would naturally look towards people that do have abundance, okay, and in some way, shape, or form create a kind of relationship to what that is like. So people that do have abundance, people that are well off, maybe, for instance, that are wealthy, and you would form a relationship with them, and you would develop a kind of attachment towards wanting to achieve that. And especially if you're somebody that has like the South Node in Taurus, or if you have the South Node in the second house, or if you have Pluto in the second house, those are the primal kind of key factors here that would really play out for you, or you'd have a note. Even Saturn in the second house would be key factors that would show up here, or Saturn in Taurus as an example. So the point here that I'm trying to illustrate is these relationships that we form to the outside world that symbolize more abundance than what we have acts as a vehicle for us to then pursue these things. And sometimes that pursuit for that abundance becomes exhausting, and sometimes it becomes something that's fruitful for us, depending on how well we execute the experience. But most of the time, when we are looking at abundance in our lives and we are limited by the perception of how to self-validate this experience, then it can be very tricky for us to actually achieve those ideas of wealth. Okay? So with Taurus as an archetype itself, the work that you need to put on into yourself, if you are to broaden your relationship towards energy, and I think that this is a really key thing here for us to understand. Most of us in our upbringing have, in some way, shape, or form, and especially from the outside world, have had a consistent bombardment of information that says that money is the root of all evil. And I promise you right now that if that were to be the complete and utter truth, then most of the people that have got a financial abundance will in some way, shape, or form look at you and be like, okay, well, this obviously is the truth, right? It's not. The point here that I'm trying to make is that there are negative associations and stigmas attached towards having abundance in your life, okay? Especially when it comes to the word money. I think that if we are in a new paradigm, we have to look at the relationship that we have towards money and kind of put it on a shelf somewhere and say, that's what we used to evolve through in the past. And as we now bring ourselves more into a reality that is more universal, more cosmic, more open to the nature of what reality is about, like seeing ourselves not as just mere people that are just trying to figure out what they're doing on the planet through randomness, but to actually understand your relationship to the cosmos from a higher point of view, a higher perspective, and then bringing that back into the physical. Okay, so we change the relationship towards abundance, and we see it as energy, and that everything in itself is energy. So we as energetic beings have a percentage of energy that allows us to then move in this world in which we exist within, this dimension, this place that we are existing within, okay? And especially in the Western culture, energy is a form of exchange that gets us to have things, okay, in some way, shape, or form. Now, the question becomes, what is your relationship towards energy, and how is that being then returned? And so this is the key with Taurus, is how do you create positive feedback loops when you are exhausting your energy? So an iPhone, for instance, or a laptop or a tablet, for instance, must be charged every so often, and particularly depending on how much you use it, it will be charged every single day. So the charging mechanism on an iPhone is the very similar factor to how you as a human being needs to charge your own energy field. So if you see yourself from this point of view, you'll notice that the energy and abundance that you have in yourself is directly linked with the capacity for what you could actually do with your life on Earth. Okay, but then at the same time, it also does mean that what you are trying to achieve has its own specific universal dynamics as well, its own specific ways of existing. So, of course, for somebody, depending on where you are in life and what you're doing with your life will dictate the amount of abundance that you have. If you're somebody that really wants to make a huge impact in the world regarding a specific set of ideas and goals and aspirations you wish to achieve, then your need for abundance and energy needs to be equally as large as your ideas. It's like, this is super simple. The equation is very simple. If you have an idea that wants to reach a certain percentage of people, then your capacity for energy needs to be equal to that. Otherwise, the equation won't work. So when it comes to understanding this in a more sort of archetypal sense, the space between the barriers in your life or the limitations in your life is what you are essentially trying to expand. Okay, so coming back to the original statement that I was making about, or the original conversation that I was making about, that if you grow up in your life and your sense of self-worth has not been developed because when you were growing up, you didn't have any people around you that showed you what validating your psychological need for survival is about, then you will struggle with this process because the idea or the perspective or the perception or the way of doing it, the techniques, etc., they won't be present for you. So you'll have to go through these experiences that will broaden your sense of awareness or a sense of understanding and your wisdom. But that takes time. So therefore, for somebody that hasn't had that validated, it could take them 5 years to come to the conclusions about something about psychological validation of your survival. Whereas if somebody that came from a wealthy family, these dynamics will already be integrated. That's why the wealth exists. So those people would understand those things instantly. And so the barriers for potential actualization are wider. And you can see this validated easily through, people that generate films, for instance, that work with Hollywood, and they have a mass amount of abundance. So their capacity to think about issues that we as human beings that are not in that same category are far-fetched. It's like it's impossible. It's like, why? Their relationship to time is different to us. In fact, there's a really, really great film out there called In Time. And it's a film where our time on Earth, or the time of the human beings at that point in time, is based on this clock that sits on their inner arm. It sits over here. And if you have time, then you have things to move around. If you don't have time, then you have to work for it. And everything was interchanged that way. And you would see that people that had like loads of time would then have a complete and utter relaxed life because there was just this relationship towards being calm. It's like, yeah, I've got loads of time. I'm not going to die. That was the key element here that I forgot to say. The time on the arm over here would dictate when you would die. So if that time ran out, then you died. And in some really, really like scary way, that reality is already forming itself into this dimension. Because most of the souls that have very busy schedules and are trying to do things, etc., most of us don't have time. And our relationship to time in itself is heavily influenced by our abundance that we have. So most souls that don't have wealth or the capacity to move energy in big waves are finding themselves working in situations where an employee or employer is dictating your value. So the Taurus archetype here, and to bring it back down to the center, is that the Taurus archetype is asking you at this point in time to really dig deep into your psychological state and to ask yourself, do you honestly and authentically validate your inner experiences as self-love? Do you honestly validate your inner space as the full potential and capacity that you have? And most of us, of course, will say no. And most of us might be content with that. But for some souls that maybe feel that there are more exciting experiences to engage in the world, like, for instance, maybe wanting to, you see, because this is an interesting dynamic here, a new paradigm is going from consumerism into consuming experiences. So don't collect things, collect experiences. And that's a beautiful understanding, because in order to collect experiences, you need to have time to be able to enjoy the experience so that it becomes assimilated into yourself. And at the moment, time is a direct correlation towards what? It's towards your abundance. So again, the capacity for your inner sense of self-worth will be directly linked to the amount of abundance that you have. That will be directly linked to the amount of time that you have. That will be directly linked to the amount of experiences that you can have. Now, again, because we're dealing with a world that has so many different people around there, this will be applicable to some of you, and this will be applicable to, and won't be applicable to you. Either way, the point still is that that is the underlying equation that must be manifested, mastered, and worked on, developed, honed. If you are looking to give yourself more space in your life to experience more of your multidimensional self, and that is the key towards living a life where there's less stress, as an example, because you're not needing to consistently go from one boundary to another, or one limitation to another, or 1 hour to another, and having to compartmentalize your day in these like really, really creative, killing experiences, because time does kill creativity. It's that many people like to work under stress. That's just how it is. But from a purely sort of like energetic point of view, the idea of having creativity is the amount of space that you have for you to explore the abyss, to allow yourself to draw out of the ether ideas and feelings and inspirations. And of course, if you're sitting in the situation when you're panicking and you're trying to go like, okay, I've only got like 25 minutes to do this over here, then your capacity to have your brain feel relaxed, which allows yourself to connect to a higher point of view, will just literally be into, it won't be there as strongly as you would like it to be there. So again, ask yourself during this next kind of like month, what is your self-worth? How can you improve it or integrate it or expand it? That's the word, expand it. Okay. Then the second thing is, how do you breathe into life? I think this is a really, really key thing. How well do you breathe into life? So are you breathing into life when, from a survival point of view, or are you breathing into life from a purely sort of place of, I feel the capacity for abundance. I feel the capacity for potential. I feel the capacity for new experiences that will nourish my soul. And it's really, really interesting to actually explore the nature of breath. And this is something that I'm definitely working with as well, that is deepening my sense of connection towards the earth. And when I say connection towards the earth, I don't actually mean like putting my feet in the ground and just being connected there. I mean that if you had to observe a tree, for instance, an incredibly large tree, and say, for instance, that the tree's trunk was so large that you couldn't even wrap your arms around it. That's how big the tree's trunk is. And it was incredibly long, okay? The verticalness of the tree was incredibly long. And you watched, if you observed the nature of the branches coming out of it, you would observe that it would be reaching so far. It's like this huge, huge tree. Now, in order for that tree to actually be able to not only reach and develop its branches and leaves into that massive direction, and to sustain itself in that location from the elements, then there would be this need for a deeply strong rooted or rootedness. Okay, so like I said, if you had to take your hands and then imagine what type of root structure this tree must have, it's strong, it goes deep into the ground, and it expands quite a lot. And so the nourishment of the ground allows the tree to not only give itself life for its capacity, but it also is directly proportional to the amount of reach that it has. So with every one of us, our capacity to develop stronger, more professional, if you're in somebody that's working in a business environment that is trying to, develop a message that you would like to offer the world in a way that has a profound impact, for any of you that have got the sun in the 10th house, Pluto in the 10th house, Mercury in the 10th house, Saturn in the 10th house, Uranus, any person that's got 10th house stuff, you'll definitely want to resonate with this experience. So the need for anchoring yourself into the community, your need for anchoring yourself into the ground and really, really breathing deeply into life, into the feminine energy, which is trust, which is your capacity to develop stability and responsibility, and your capacity for inner strength. These are key elements that helps your sense of abundance. Okay, so again, the Earth Trine is helping us understand that if we are to actualize ourselves in great ways, if we want to reach out and create like really, really strong effects, then our need for breathing into life in a way that is not about survival consciousness. For me, for instance, if you watch your breath, it's very short breaths, and it's like, and it's just getting enough oxygen to keep yourself alive. And so what you want to be doing is developing a relationship towards your breath that is really grabbing at life, like really, really bringing it into yourself, and then it literally like encompassing your whole entire framework, your whole entire, your body is a living organism. So you want more oxygen to be traveling in your blood system to give your brain a stronger capacity to think at faster rates, as an example, to create neurological transmitters that allows you to interface with your environment, where you can respond in faster ways and more alert ways would be the key. And so that's just one way, just that breath work, that like physical experience of deeply getting into yourself. And like I'm the first person to tell you that I struggle with that immensely, and I'm trying as much as possible. And for me personally, I do these live streams as a way to now start to connect with you, and in some way, shape, or form to develop like I said, a relationship to you guys, but also for me to feel that there is a deeper reach with regards to the message that I might feel inspired to share. And I'm definitely not sharing this because I have some special destiny and so on and so forth. I'm equally as connected to this realm as you are. So so it's just my thoughts and opinions and ideas that if resonate with you in that way, then it helps. But you get the point that I'm trying to make. So my suggestion for this week for everyone is to focus on your sense of validating regarding what you will accept as your abundance level, and then actually work for that. Like actually bring that into reality. Don't chase it at like a animal that has the carrot dangling in front of it like that. I'm not talking about that financial security, the illusion of it. I'm talking about experiences in your life that allow you to feel enriched in your experiences, allow you to actually experience creation in its multi-dimensional way. Most experiences, most things on the planet at this point in time do require in some way, shape, or form an energy exchange. An example that I could give you is about I think it was a month ago, actually, it's a month ago, myself and my family went to it's like here in Sweden, I don't know how to describe it, but it's an indoor swimming event, okay? And the kids it was the first time that they were going over there. But the experience was a little bit pricey in the sense that, the entrance fee, and there were certain things that I had to purchase or we had to purchase to be able to allow them to go into the swimming pools and stuff. And of course, their food that they had to have, and some of the food that I would prepare to make myself. And of course, to travel there. And, and the point that I'm trying to make here is that experience could have not been done if I didn't have abundance or energy inside of myself. And we all have this. We all go on holidays or vacations or time out. But what you want to do is you want to be able to create a life in which the relationship between what you feel is a holiday or an experience is just a change of reality. And that when you come back, it's not you escaping from your like mundane activities, but your opportunity to just go out and experience different realities that bring you a sense of relaxation. Okay, and then when you come back, you're actually coming back to things that you still love. So in my case, for example, like, you know, the work that I do is, I'm not escaping it. I'm not avoiding it by using a holiday to make me feel or remind or make me forget about this experience. In fact, it gives me the opportunity to deepen myself to what ideas or perspectives or things that I can dream up, that I can offer everybody, that will help you understand astrology better from a very, very powerful point of view. So like a lot of the time when I talk of astrology in the way that I do, or the nature of my conversation might be a little bit complex, or maybe a little bit over the top for some of you, because of the fact that it goes so deep into things. But on my hand, I feel that it's important for us to actually up the tempo regarding what we can accept as what astrology is potentially available for us. So by me breathing deeper into the archetype and asking more of us when it comes to understanding astrology, we naturally expand our consciousness there. So the same thing will then apply to your own life regarding your relationship to abundance, your relationship to what you desire to be, what your boundaries are. If you are comfortable having very limited boundaries and limited time and no capacity to want to be creative in your experience, then that's your choice. But it shouldn't be something that should be affected from a psychological state of needing to survive, because our paradigm up until this point has been, you need to survive, right? It's not about that. It's about actually opening up the heart more and trusting more and actually working through some of the fear that you might have when it comes to taking certain risks in situations, and maybe investing in things. An example that I could give you is that I took literally all the cash that I have in my bank account and I purchased the Evolutionary Astrology School, okay? And it was quite a lot of money at that point in time, and I didn't have anything. So it wasn't like a situation where I was like, oh, okay, I'll just do that over there, it'll be fantastic. I was like, okay, I'm going to purchase this, but I'm going to transmute that purchase into something that allows me to then survive and then also manifest over the next period of my life. And so that's what I've done, is I've done this whole experience where now I've created this YouTube channel. I write astrology, I teach astrology, and so on. And the amount of energy that I put into the investments that pursued my dream, that pursued the thing that I felt inspired about, is now coming back and overlapping itself consistently all the time, like this. And if you're at a point in your life where you feel the need to bring new opportunities into your life that you need to invest in right now, then you should do it. You should absolutely choose to take a leap of faith in your existence and allow yourself to follow your dream. And I think that this is a really important thing for everybody to recognize right now. This is not a time in your life where you should be sitting around like daydreaming about what could possibly be. This is a time where you literally grab your dreams, your heart, your soul, and you say to it, what do you desire? And then say, I'm going to, in this lifetime, chase it. I'm going to go after that dream. I'm going to experience it. I'm going to get on the top of that roller coaster, and I'm going to allow myself to just consistently, as I get to the top of the roller coaster, look down like this and go, this is going to be a rush, and it's just going to be amazing. And you go through the experience and you allow yourself to just experience life versus being afraid of it. So that's maybe what I'm actually probably trying to promote here in a very deeper way regarding breathing into life and allowing life to show you the capacity for the wonders that are available out there. How many of you spend time connecting with other souls on the internet that share the same ideas and perspectives as yourself? How many of you want to, in some way, shape, or form, be more supportive in your ideas and allow yourself to actually fully experience the spectrum of your existence? How many of you even validate your existence? So most of us will validate the bare minimum of this, and this is what I was talking about earlier. But how many of us validate the totality of what you are? And if you can get onto that roller coaster and you can start looking at yourself and saying, it is my responsibility at this point in time to experience the totality of who I am, not just the physical dimension of myself, then you're on the right road. Then you are on the road of, I'm here to experience more than what has just been fed to me through nonsense, like just basic modicum education, but everything that I am, the infinite and limitless possibilities that are available for you. Now, the purpose over here is also not to create a massive delusion where all of a sudden you go, yep, that's it, I'm going to be the next president of this place over here, or I feel like I'm going to go for that CEO job. There are the feminine principles that still need to be applied. There are the hard-working challenges that must come your way. And so that's also key. How disciplined are you? And that is the relationship between Saturn and Neptune. This is the relationship between consciousness and limitation, the physical and the non-physical. How much of your consciousness can you anchor into your physical? That is what it means. So how much are you bringing your water element, your sense of imagination, your sense of empowerment, your sense of desire into the earth trinity, which is, here is my abundance, I believe in myself, and then I'm going to take the next sense that, and I'm going to work on it every single day. And I'm not going to stop until I'm experiencing the reality that I want. Okay? Okay, so here's a couple of questions, okay? Right, so those are truthful things, that's what I mean. So if, Fema, you're talking about situations where your health is obviously being affected. I would actually start at that point. I would literally take all of your attention and ask yourself and investigate into your situation. What is your health? And how is that being affected? What are you not validating in your psyche that is causing your health to be this way? Now, if this is a situation that is a lot more intense than just simple fatigue and etc. like that, then I understand completely. But that's what I mean about fully experiencing yourself. We have a lot of situations and symptoms and circumstances that have brought us to this point. And in your case, for instance, we've got to be realistic about ourselves. Okay? So for me personally, to where I am today and how I'm giving this live stream over here, it didn't just land in my lap. It didn't go, oh, okay. It's like not even close. Like I had to do really, really, really sacrificing things in certain ways to be able to get this. But it doesn't mean that I look at that situation and go, oh, you know what, hey, like that sucked. In fact, most of the skills that I learned while getting myself to this point are what you see today. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is that if you are in a situation where you're currently employed, you don't like the situation, you are struggling a little with health, that's the first stop. That's the first stop. You can't go anywhere other than that first original block. So you've got to start doing research into the type of situations that you are struggling with at this stage. Okay? Then from then onwards, you start making choices in that situation that starts alleviating those issues. So you struggle from fatigue. I would absolutely get yourself and purchase a bottle of adrenal fatigue. Okay? Right. So adrenal fatigue is a very, very intense thing. So what type of choices are you making in your life that allows you to deal with the adrenal fatigue? Are you researching enough on the internet at this point in time regarding experiences that have had similar stories to you and how they've responded to the situation? These are the types of release you have, okay? And have you found yourself like proactively putting yourself in those situations to heal that in some way, shape, or form? Are you taking certain holistic medicines and stuff that is allowing you to deal with that? Now, of course, if you've probably got like Mars, right? So trying to meditate in itself, these are the types of things that are challenging. What type of electrical environment are you currently involved in at this point in time? So how is your outward environment, okay, your outward environment stimulating your electrical nervous system that's causing this adrenal fatigue? Because that's a big thing. Because I mean, I'm a father of 3 kids at this stage, and 2 of them are under the age of 3. So it's running this business plus making sure that the children are in some way, shape, or form or still kept alive. Yeah, exactly. Stressful home life. So for me, what I do is my partner is really, really good at like getting a lot of information on the internet and researching a lot regarding this and looking into how we can reduce the symptoms that cause adrenal fatigue. Now, on a deeper level, this can correlate to a soul that is like actually running away from stuff in some way, shape, or form. And the reason why is because when the body is in a state of fight or flight, right? Okay, your body is naturally going to say, okay, if I need to fight or I need to flight, I've got to send adrenaline to the body, to my legs to keep me moving, as an example. So the purpose here that I'm trying to say is that you've got to really look at the natural like home life that you're currently having, in your case, because of the stressful thing, and you've got to start making new choices that gives you more relaxed states. Okay, so you've got Mars in the 12th house of the astrological chart. Okay, that's it straight away. Mars in the 12th house is like Mars in Pisces. Okay, so here you sit, Mars in the 12th house, you trying to accomplish everything at once, but nothing manifests. It's like literally running on a treadmill for 1,000 years and believing that something will change, but it can't. It's a very, very like tough place to actually have Mars in the 12th house. If personally, Famba, in this particular instance, I would actually set up like a half an hour discussion with myself where I could actually give you a lot more directed information to deal with that struggle, okay? Or send me an email, okay? Because there's a lot of information that comes your way regarding adrenal fatigue, okay? So please send me an email. If you go to my website, which I'll actually link in the chat box right now, so that we don't, yeah. So write to me over there and just give me some information, okay? Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Perfect. So, okay. What I'm going to have to do, guys, is the time's come up for me regarding this slot. So I've gave myself like 1 hour slots every single Friday to do these live streams. So what I wanted to let you know was that exactly Mars is challenged in water signs. What I want you to do for me is check out your emails, because I've sent out the newsletter with the now I've forgotten what I wanted to say. The article of the full moon, and also then that's on Raising Vibrations as well on the web page, if you click that there. And I also wanted to let everybody know that on this weekend that's coming up right now, so tomorrow and on Sunday, there are workshops that I'm doing. 2 of them. One is called the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. And in that workshop, I'm specifically teaching you what the sun means in your chart, what the moon means in your chart, and what the ascendant is about. And then we will do chart work on your astrology chart so that you can align your sun, moon, and ascendant triad with what your soul's intentions is, okay? And I'm just going to check right now to see how many places are available. And this is for this Sunday that's happening right now, Saturday, pardon me. Come on. Okay. And then on Sunday is a workshop on Mars and Pluto, and particularly what Mars and Pluto symbolizes in your birth chart and what the retrograde is about. So at the moment, Mars and Pluto are retrograde, and this is an incredibly significant time regarding these symbols because of the fact that they represent our relationship to how we actualize our inner desires. So if both of those are like retrograde at this stage, we're obviously having a deep acceleration regarding confronting the nature of what our desires are and really getting to the bottom of them. So this workshop is intended for me to work with your astrology chart and for you to become aware of this and to also understand how to read Mars and Pluto in your birth chart, okay? So that's on Sunday, and I will give you guys links to what that's about if you give me a second. Okay, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. There we go. So you can check this out. Okay, that's the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant one. Moon workshop. And then the Mars Pluto one, which is, it's called Refining Our Desires. Okay. And then this is Mars and Pluto. Okay, check those two out. If you're interested in them, please let me know, because there's only like 4 or 5 spaces left, and they're very, very there are workshops that are very tailored for your personal needs. Okay, so that you get a lot out of these experiences. But other than that, guys, thanks so much for joining me today, and I will speak to you next week, Friday. Okay, have fun. Take care. Bye.